Hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to a live Manchester United transfer news show. Your morning update is coming in here, and this morning update will not disappoint. Lots of interesting news coming in over the night. Some more credible than others, but a few interesting stories have dropped in regards to Manchester United's transfer plans and moves that have been going forward. But the breaking news story coming in is that PSG are making advancements to sign Sancho. They're preparing an offer. Sancho is open to the move. There's lots of interest and news and advancements coming in on a potential sale of Jadon Sancho. Now, Manchester United have a 40 million valuation of Sancho. Will PSG meet that? And could this advance the Xavi Simmons deal, as United have been following Xavi Simmons looking to hijack the deal? More news and stories coming out on other potential midfield targets, with United preparing a shock 17 million offer for Copa America star that mirrors elements of how Agate plays. Could he be a new target? Could it be a negotiation tactic? Could he come alongside Agate, because the Amrabat deal yesterday was pretty much confirmed as off? Manchester United exploring a deal for Naipan, who impressed in the pre-season game against us. Could it be like Ronaldo? He plays against United in pre-season, then they go sign him. More updates coming in on Greenwood's exit and a buyback clause being asserted by United. Could Greenwood be set to return? Bye-bye to Facundo Pellistri, potentially. The Branthwaite deal is off. The Ligt deal is on. There could be some advancements there. We're going to talk about this and more in today's show. So make sure you do hit that like button. And, of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new as well. So, what has been said on this? PSG made a proposal to Jadon Sancho, who's interested in the project. It remains to be seen whether United are sellers and at what price. Romano said there's two options for Sancho now that there's clarity between him and Ten Hag. Give him an opportunity or sell him if proposals arrive. The situation remains open. So what is my thoughts on the potential exit and sales scenario regarding Jadon Sancho? Now, PSG have made a proposal to Sancho and he's interested in the project. We know that PSG have had an interest in Sancho, and Sancho probably wants to leave United. Considering that Ahmad, Rashford and Garnacho are going to be three first-choice wingers ahead of Jadon Sancho wants to play football, and that's why he wasn't happy with Ten Hag. And because those three wingers are better than him, he's not necessarily going to play football at United. Now, you might argue that, Sancho's got all the attributes to be the best of those three wingers. Absolutely, Sancho could be better than those three wingers and cement his place in the United side. But if you look at how Ten Hag wants to play, those three wingers suit Ten Hag more, and those three wingers in the last 3 years have done more than Jadon Sancho. I think Jadon Sancho will go. I think Jadon Sancho has clarity with Ten Hag, because Manchester United think, well, if Sancho and Ten Hag, if there's clarity there, if we look like they're on good terms, we can get offers in. The offers coming in for Jadon Sancho at the beginning of the window were pathetic offers, like stupid prices, loan deals, because they thought that Man United were going to sell Sancho at the end of the window out of desperation on loan. The clubs thought, because we'll be so desperate to get rid of Sancho because he's falling out with Ten Hag, they'll be able to get him on a cut price at the end of the window. Now they've realised they can't. Man United are now acting as if they're not sure if they're going to sell Sancho or not. I think, and I fully believe, that Man United want to sell Sancho. I believe that they're trying to act like they don't want to sell Sancho so they can actually get a price for him, because they want 40 million for Sancho. I think they'll get 35 million. They want 40 million for Sancho. Now, interestingly, Man United and PSG have had talks over many players. Xavi Simmons, of course, Agate, Rashford was one in the past, and obviously Jadon Sancho recently. Now, as Romano said, there's two options. You play him or you sell him. I don't think he's going to play a lot. I think Sancho wants to go. Sancho is open to PSG's proposal. I think what happens is, if PSG put in a good bid, Sancho's there. I think Sancho will go to PSG. In fact, I'll be honest, I think Sancho will go to PSG if there's a good bid for him. I do. I think any club that puts in a good bid for Sancho, he'll go to them, if I'm going to be totally honest. That's what I think. I think Man United will act like they're not that bothered about selling Sancho, but if any club put 35 million or more in for Jadon Sancho, I think United would sell him to them. I genuinely think they would as well. So yeah, guys, please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new, and share the video as well. I really hope we can get Sancho out for around 40 million. It was also said on Jadon Sancho that Jadon Sancho is not expected to return to Dortmund anymore, even if the player and Dortmund could imagine working together. The situation is difficult because the 45 to 50 million euro price valuation is too high for Dortmund. Only a chance if they sell a player, and United don't want to do another loan. 1 minute. Sorry, excuse me, I just sneezed. And I think because, the £40 million price tag is a bit expensive at Dortmund, it's been said that PSG and Juventus are leading the race for Sancho. It was said that Juventus is still pushing to sign Manchester United winger Jadon Sancho, but they would need to have a chance to sell to meet United's 40 million valuation. So, interestingly, PSG have now made a proposal to Sancho. Now, Santi is a good source of information. Santi is a credible source of information, particularly when it comes to French news. Sometimes he can jump the gun. He's not Romano level, but I like Santi. I think he's a good source of information, and he's not someone I think take with a pinch of salt. He's saying that PSG have made a proposal and Sancho is interested. Romano has said we've got to sell Sancho or give him opportunities. I don't think he's going to get a lot of opportunities. I think he will be sold. I think Jadon Sancho will not go to Dortmund because of the price. So he's looking at Sancho, he's looking at Juventus. Apparently Sancho is open to both PSG and Juventus. United's valuation is 40 million. I think you give us 35 million, we accept the deal for Sancho. I think United would accept a 35 million bid for Sancho because if you look at the market right now, for wingers, Desiree Doué, £34 million. Cool, just give us 35 million for Sancho, we're going for Desiree Doué. I think United are more than open to listen to cheaper offers for Jadon Sancho. So 35 million offers from him. I know we spent 72 million on him, but I generally think that Manchester United would be more than willing to accept a deal for Sancho in about the probably 35 million range. I think that we do want Sancho gone. I think PSG expressing an interest in Sancho, and I think if we get Jadon Sancho gone, we'll make a move for wingers. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of exclusive information here before I dive into the news on Xavi Simmons and Desiree Doué. But Manchester United have been looking at Pedro Neto. I got some exclusive insight last week to say now that Elise is off the market, Man United are big fans of Pedro Neto, but it depends on his price tag, and there are concerns over his injury record. Man United really, really like Pedro Neto. So I do think if Sancho's sold, while Xavi Simmons and Desiree Doué seem the most likely because of price tag and valuation, if Pedro Neto is available for the right price, I do think that Manchester United could go for him. I think their concern is injury record, so they don't want to pay ridiculous money for Pedro Neto because of injury record as well. Guys, please do hit that like button and of course subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new and want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news and more as well. Sancho should go there. Too many good wingers in the team that are better than him. Amad, Garnacho, Rashford, I agree as well. Eze is better than Neto, but if you're looking at Ten Hag ball, Neto can play on the right, he can play on the left. He's more of a wide winger rather than a central player, and Eze is more of a central player. And we've got Bruno and Ahmed and Mount that can be central, so I think that Neto would be suited more to Ten Hag ball as well. I don't like Dortmund. They always do dirty to United, though we always treat them well. No wonder Bayern always trying to steal their players. Dortmund always like to try and mug us off with deals as well. Would be incredible business to sell Sancho and Greenwood in the same window. If we can get 35 million for Sancho and 25 million for Greenwood, that's 60 million for Sancho and Greenwood in the same window. Bish bash boss. That has to be invested on the attacker. PSG have strongly appreciate Bruno Fernandes. We know that. Man United and PSG have been talking about a lot of players. PSG like Bruno, they like Rashford, they like Sancho. I think the one that Man United would be willing to sell is Sancho. I don't think United are going to sell Bruno as well. So do you think United will go for Xavi Simmons? I think we could press ahead with Xavi Simmons signing, if I'm going to be totally honest. The fact that obviously Sancho could be out the door to PSG, I think we may push ahead for Xavi Simmons. So what has been said in regards to Xavi Simmons to United? It was said that Manchester United have been working on a deal to bring Xavi Simmons to Old Trafford for a year now, and that Manchester United are pursuing a move for PSG Xavi Simmons and could hijack a potential move to Germany. Now, this was news that came out a couple of days ago, but I'm giving you this for context on the Xavi Simmons case. Man United have been following Xavi Simmons for a while. Fabrizio Romano confirmed last summer if Xavi Simmons would have left PSG on a permanent, United are in pole position to sign him. United are big fans of Xavi Simmons. United have always been big fans, and they are big fans of Xavi Simmons. Ruud van Nistelrooy worked with Xavi Simmons and would like Xavi Simmons in. Ten Hag would like Xavi Simmons in. In fact, Ten Hag spoke about how he liked Xavi Simmons and watching him for the Dutch national team. It's no secret that Ten Hag and Ruud van Nistelrooy want Xavi Simmons in. It's no secret that United are having conversations with PSG about Xavi Simmons. Xavi Simmons' preference has been Germany, but with Ruud van Nistelrooy coming to United, Manchester United believe that they can sway Xavi Simmons away from going to Germany and negotiate a deal with PSG. Now, United aren't going to press ahead with Xavi Simmons until Jadon Sancho is gone, but now Manchester United and PSG could be discussing some kind of deal that would involve Jadon Sancho going one way and Xavi Simmons going the other way, which would be really interesting. Now, interestingly as well, that's been said on Xavi Simmons is that Christopher Vivel's a big fan of him. Man United were leading the race to sign him a year ago, and that obviously doing a loan with an obligation to buy and breaking out the payments could suit United more. Xavi Simmons can play on the left, he can play on the right, he can play centrally. Manchester United, although Ahmad, Garnacho and Rashford expected to have a good role, they would almost like to bring in another winger for depth. The big question is, I think Man United think because they've got Ahmad, Garnacho and Rashford, they're not going to sign a winger unless Sancho is sold, because they've also got Anthony that can play on the wing and they don't want to be stockpiling wingers and all of that as well. But I do think that Xavi Simmons to United could most definitely advance, especially with Jadon Sancho going. I think keep an eye on Pedro Neto. I think Desiree Doué we like, but he doesn't seem like he's Manchester United bound. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with wingers, because United are clearly making some interesting moves for wingers as well. We should get Doué. I think we should get Doué, but it's gone really quiet as well, if I'm going to be honest as well. What about a Garte-Sancho swap deal? Could be an option. That could be something United explore. I think especially because Sancho is going to be an FFP loss, although it's been 3 years. Potentially you could... I think Garte and Sancho are worth the same amount of fee. United paid a lot more for Sancho than PSG paid for Garte, but Sancho had been at United 3 years. They're the same age. I generally think a Garte-Sancho swap deal, you could do it. I don't think we will, but I generally think that the amount, like, Agate is a 35 to 42 million pound player. Sancho's a 35 to 42 million pound player. In fact, Sancho's a 45 million player. Agate is a 40 million player, but because of the relationship with Sancho, he's gone down to 40 million player. I think we could do a swap deal for Sancho and Agate. I do. Do I think United do it? Probably not as well. We should give PSG Bruno. That's about 50 million. You would sell Bruno for 50 million. You're telling me Max Kilman is a 40 million pound player and Bruno Fernandes is only worth 10 million more than Max Kilman. In this market, I wouldn't sell Bruno. He's irreplaceable. But, if I was going to sell Bruno 100 million, 50 million for Bruno in this market. Bruno is probably like one of our only good players. Like, well, we've got good players, but Bruno's one of our only players that when he's on it, he's elite. Like, Bruno on his day is world class. Bruno on his day is irreplaceable. Bruno, the last 3 months of the season, saved us from a shocking season. I mean, I would not sell Bruno Fernandes. He's irreplaceable for me. Bruno Fernandes for 4 seasons in a row has created the most chances in football. Put Bruno Fernandes in a good team and a sustainable system around him. Put Bruno Fernandes in Pep Guardiola's Manchester City team. If Bruno Fernandes has been playing for Pep Guardiola the last 3 years, the performance levels he would have put in, everyone would be saying he was one of the best players in the world, he was a Ballon d'Or contender, and we'd have been crying that we didn't sign him. I think there's a disrespect on Bruno Fernandes. I really do think there's a disrespect on Bruno Fernandes. But look, yeah, PSG do have an interest in Bruno Fernandes, but I don't think he's going anywhere as well. Selling Bruno is like telling Man City to sell Rodri. Like, literally one of the players that makes us tick. Like, when we don't play Bruno, we're crap. When Man City don't play Rodri, they're crap. So what is the news coming in on Manchester United making a move for Richard Rios? It was said that Manchester United are preparing an offer of around £70 million for Palmeiras midfielder Richard Rios. United have already made contract to signal as they make the bid. Now, again, not super familiar with the sources, so I am going to say take a pinch of salt, but it is being aggregated a lot at the moment. Now, Richard Rios isn't a player that I was 100% familiar with. I remember doing research on Estavio and watching Esteban, watching Palmeiras, and he looked like a good player. I'm not an expert on Richard Rios. I don't know every fine detail about him. But I watched a couple of games of Colombia and Copa America, and he was super impressive. In fact, I thought Colombia were fantastic in Copa America, and this guy looks very good. Now, he could be available for 15, 16, 17 million pounds, with Manchester United not looking to press ahead on Amrabat, and this guy being really impressive and much younger than Amrabat. This could be someone that United go for depth. We need 2 midfield signings, but we almost need that second one for depth. It doesn't need to be fancy. It doesn't need to be expensive. This could be the kind of deal that Manchester United do. So in regards to Richard Rios and the kind of player he is and what he may add to Manchester United, as you can see here, Rios is a defensive midfielder. He's played 21 games as a defensive midfielder and 17 games as a central midfielder. He's a dual pivot kind of player. I actually did a comparison of Rios and Agate, and you can tell that there's a lot of similarities between the player. Like Agate, Rios' strengths are not on the ball. Rios' strengths are off the ball. Rios is a better carrier than Agate. He's quite defensive-minded like Agate, and he's a decent dual winner like Agate, but his weakness would be things like progressive passes, forward passes, although he does make more key passes than Agate. If you're looking for an off-the-ball kind of monster that's going to do the clean-off work to allow Kobe and Bruno to thrive, I think that Rios is a similar profile to Agate. So Potentially, we're either one, looking at Richard Rios so we can be like, oh, we're not going to get Ugarte for 70 million, we're going to get Rios now, and it's a negotiation tactic to say we're interested in Richard Rios to try and get PSG to lower the Ugarte price. I think this week there's going to be a lot of news linking Man United to midfielders, and I don't think necessarily it's all going to be true. If you want my honest opinion, I think there's going to be loads and loads of news stories coming out in the next week about United looking at this midfielder, United looking at that midfielder, Subamende, Rios, potentially other options, because I think United know that PSG want to get João Neves done, they want to get Ugarte done, PSG need to lower the fee, then PSG know they have to lower the fee, but I think United are going to make it clear we've got alternatives. Like we've walked away from Branthwaite to get Ligt and Euro, I think Man United will say to PSG, well, we'll have alternatives to Ugarte if you're not going to sell him for the right price. No one's going to pay more money for Ugarte than you paid. You bought Ugarte for 50 million, he flopped, you're not going to get 60 million for him, you're giving him to us for 40 million. I think we'll be looking at other midfielders as this almost negotiation tactic to say to PSG, get Ugarte down, but we'll have other options there and available in case PSG don't lower the price of Ugarte and it does get difficult. Guys, please do hit that like button, and of course subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new and want to stay up to date on all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more. I go live every single evening on the channel, keeping you guys up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more. We've got some stories coming on Naipan, and we've got some other stories coming in. I've got exclusive information on Pedro Neto. But Sancho to PSG making offers for Sancho interested in joining PSG. United may press ahead with the Xavi Simmons move. Pedro Neto is an option being explored by Manchester United. A winger deal could advance if Sancho leaves. There's an expectation that United will want to sell Sancho, and they've slapped a 40 million fee on him. Now, another player United are looking at is a young guy, and we saw him play against us the other day, and that was Naipan. I want to get into some of the news about Naipan in just a second, but let's look at this as well. Instead of Richard Rios rumours, Man United should take a look at Palacios of Bayer Leverkusen. I agree, I like Palacios of Bayer Leverkusen. There is injury concerns there as well, but Palacios of Leverkusen would be a very good option as well. I completely agree as well. Rios was class at Copa America, and he's a beast, mega on the ball. Instead of Richard Rios rumours, Man United, I read that one out as well. If we sign Ugarte, Rios could be a second midfield signing, as it looks like we're not going to get Amrabat. So who else could be coming into Manchester United? Who have Manchester United been recently linked with? Well, that is Naipan out of Rosenborg. Now, obviously, we played Rosenborg, and this guy stood out like way above everyone else. Like Naipan looked really good. He predominantly plays as a centre midfielder, but he sometimes plays as a centre forward and attacking midfielder. He's more of an attacking based midfielder, and he looks like a really exciting young player. And I think when we played Ronaldo in pre-season a few years back, and he impressed, we ended up signing him, and the rest was history. Could we do the same with Naipan? He's not going to be Ronaldo, let's be honest. He's a good player. Could be the next Ronaldo, but he's probably not. But it was said that Naipan has been discussed internally in recent weeks after being regularly observed, but United cannot formalise interest in him until January transfer window when he turns 18 because of the whole Brexit kind of rules. But one thing United like to do is they like to bring really talented teenagers in from abroad, but it's difficult to finalise deals to he's 18. They could buy him now, loan him out, and then he comes back when he's 18. He can't officially come into the country. But I think this is one to watch. I think this is one that United have actually been linked with, and I wouldn't be surprised if we look to press ahead with potential Naipan deals as well. Swap Sancho for Ugarte. I generally think there's a possibility that could happen, but I also think United don't do swap deals, so it doesn't happen if that makes sense as well. We could negotiate a lower fee for Amrabat. I don't know if that deal's necessarily off yet. I think, look, what Man United will try and do with Amrabat is say we're not interested in him, we're only getting for a lower fee, and I think United will act like they're not interested in Amrabat at all to see if they can get a lower fee for Amrabat, and if they feel like they can't get a lower fee, they'll probably walk away and look at other options. But I do think United would probably try and do some negotiation games to try and get Amrabat on a cheap fee. Alice, what's the news on Pellistri? We're going to get on the news on Pellistri because there is obviously reports and news coming out of a Pellistri sale, so we will dive out into that. There's an expectation that Pellistri will go for around £15 million. I think we got a £9 million bid for Pellistri, which I think was a bit pathetic. I think we can get £15 million for Pellistri. We can get £15 million for Pellistri and £35 million for Jadon Sancho. That's £50 million for those two. We've already got £25 million for Greenwood, which is basically £40 million because of pure FFP profit. We've raised £75 million. In Sancho, Greenwood and Pellistri, we would have raised £75 million, which is a shame that Elise has gone to Bayern because that could have been the funds for Elise. But 75 million in free player sales would be really beneficial, because Man United want to sign a second centre-back and Man United want to sign a midfielder. If we can get 75 million from Sancho, Greenwood, Pellistri, and then we can get another 60 million from selling McTominay and Casemiro, plus the money we save on wages, that there, you're looking at about 140 million raised in player sales, which can go into buying De Ligt, which can go into buying Agarty, which can go into potentially buying a second midfielder and potentially buying a winger. You're also talking about United looking at left backs. We are exploring left backs on loan. Romana said a left back's more likely to be on loan. If Wan-Bissaka's sold, we also may make a move for Ferdy. We had a 20 million bid reportedly rejected for him. You know, United are advancing, United are making moves, and it is getting quite interesting in regards to that and the transfer window ahead as well. Sarr plays in League One. Sarr was a player that we used to be linked to a little bit as well, but I wouldn't take him at United. Let's talk about other stories. So if you just joined, we've obviously spoke about Rios, the £17 million midfielder United are making a contact with and reportedly making a bid. He was an absolute beast at Copa America and a very similar style player to Agarty, predominantly playing defensive midfield, but can play more advanced. Has got a wonderful strike on him as a physical beast. His ball striking and power is insane. They're also looking at £9, but they cannot formalise a deal until January. And obviously there's reports of Pellistri leaving. So there's a Greek club that's made significant progress during their talks for United with Pellistri. Now, I personally think that Pellistri can get better offers than the Greek league, and I'm quite surprised we haven't, considering how impressive he was at Copa America. And I think Pellistri should be playing in the top 5 league. So I think that Man United may hold out on Pellistri, and it could be a move that happens later in the window. We've also got a here we go coming in today, which is that Rafael Varane to Como is a here we go, and Rafael Varane's taken a wage cut to join Como, which suggests to me that he was forced out by Ineos because he would have taken a wage cut to stay at United. We've also got news that Everton are preparing a new contract proposal for Branthwaite after rejecting 2 proposals from United. The club is determined to keep Branthwaite unless a huge bid arrives, but United have no intention of paying the 75 to 80 million price tag. It looks like Branthwaite to Manchester United is off. It looks like the Branthwaite to Manchester United deal is unfortunately probably off and not going to happen. Obviously, they're looking to give Branthwaite a new contract. Branthwaite obviously agreed personal terms to join United. He's a bit annoyed that 2 bids have been rejected, so they're looking to give him a new contract to keep him happy. I think that means we're going to get delays. Now, I think what's going to happen is we're going to put one more offer in for Branthwaite. I think we'll put one more bid in for Branthwaite, which will probably be rejected because Everton are standing still with what they want for Branthwaite. And then once that bid is rejected, I think in regards to Branthwaite to Manchester United, we then walk away and we progress ahead with De Ligt, because it's obviously some interesting updates coming in regards to De Ligt to Manchester United. It's been said that in an ideal world, Manchester United wanted both Leny Yoro and Branthwaite. However, due to Everton's unreasonable demands for Branthwaite, Manchester United are very likely to press ahead with Matthijs De Ligt. Even though they're both right-footed, Manchester United are open to signing both Matthijs De Ligt and Matthijs De Ligt and Leny Yoro, even though they're both right-footed. Right now, Bayern Munich want 50 million euros in total, but Manchester United are trying to structure the deal so it could be around 34 million pounds, with potentially 8 million in add-ons, taking it to a 50 million euro deal. Now, that is where the deal is being stalled. Matthijs De Ligt absolutely wants Manchester United. He's agreed personal terms with Manchester United, and he's waiting there for Manchester United and Bayern to find an agreement. The expectation is that Manchester United and Bayern could find an agreement within the next week, but it could also depend on Lindelof's sale or other departures ongoing. If Jadon Sancho sold, if Lindelof sold, if McTominay sold, even though some of those players aren't centre-backs, those funds will be invested into Matthijs De Ligt because United want 2 centre-back signings. In fact, Fabrizio Romano has confirmed the next 3 moves that Manchester United plan to make, and those next 3 moves that Fabrizio Romano said United plan to make is a second centre-back and second midfield signing. Fabrizio Romano said depending on outs, there's an increasing likely chance that De Ligt and Agarty are Manchester United's next 2 signings, so the next 2 deals they work on. De Ligt is desperate for United. Bayern Munich want to offload him. They want to get Tar. Man United are very clear that they do not want to overpay for De Ligt. It may depend on sales. De Ligt knows that United might have to sell someone before they make a move for him. But Matthijs De Ligt to Manchester United, once the sale is over the line, is expected to advance, especially with Bayern eager to sell and potentially willing to lower the price so they can get a deal done for Tar as well. Alice, Eric Ten Hag want Rios? He's a beast. I would have to do some more research on Rios because I've not watched a lot of him, but what I have watched of Richard Rios, he looks like a beast. In the limited minutes I've watched Richard Rios play, he looks like a beast. He looks like an absolute beast as well. Alice, who do you think will be our next signing? Probably Agate. I think, to be honest, the next few days are going to be quiet in regards to United, and then I think we could get Agate at the end of the week. Man United are getting another bid in for Pellistri. Yeah, we paid 8 million for Pellistri and we've got a 9 million bid in for Pellistri. Like, honestly, they can absolutely F off and do one. We could get way more than £9 million for Pellistri. That is an absolute joke. Absolute joke, 9 million for Pellistri, isn't it? Like, we could do way better than them. Oh, guys, there's some stories coming in. There's some interesting news stories coming in. Give me a second here to get these stories up on the screen. This is particularly interesting. It is said that Manchester United are closing in on signing Chido Obi Martin. He wants to stay in England and is rejecting a move to Germany. So Manchester United are apparently, and this is said by the very reliable Christopher Michael. He's saying that Man United have essentially won the race for Obi Martin. He wants to stay in England. He's going to join United and reject other clubs. So we could get a here we go for Obi Martin very soon. He is the youngster that scored 32 goals in 18 games at age 16 for the under-18s for Arsenal. He's an absolute monster. It's also said that PSG strongly appreciate Bruno Fernandes. George Mendes has obviously been having a lot of conversations between PSG and Manchester United. The news report has added, with George Mendes discussing João Neves to PSG, Bruno Fernandes to PSG has also been discussed. Manchester United have had conversations with PSG about Agate and Xavi Simmons, and PSG having conversations about Bruno and Sancho. Now, I don't believe that Manchester United will sell Bruno unless PSG put in a ridiculous offer, and considering the amount of money PSG are going to pay to bring Neves in and Osimhen in, who PSG have got verbal agreements with, I don't think PSG are going to have the funds to bring in Bruno Fernandes, so I'm personally not worried about Bruno Fernandes going to PSG. Yes, it has been confirmed there's a buyback clause on Mason Greenwood's sale to Marseille in case United want to buy him back, but it's unlikely to happen as well. And the expectation is that PSG are preparing potentially a £30 million bid for Jadon Sancho to test the waters, but United want 40 million, but that's been said by a lesser source. So quite a few interesting stories coming in and dropping right now on United as well. Branthwaite 30 to 50 million, that's that. 55 million bid, including add-ons. Take it or leave it. Final bid for Branthwaite. If they don't do it, walk away, get Ligt, buy Branthwaite next season as well. Are you excited for pre-season tour? I am. Xerxes will join up a week later, but I'm really excited to see Lenny Euro on tour. I'm really excited to see sort of other bits and bobs happen as well. Good. Big up, Alice. Thank you. Thanks for your content. Appreciate that, mate. Guys, please do hit that like button if you haven't already. We've got nearly 1,000 people watching right now. Can we hit 500 likes? That will be absolutely incredible if we could hit 500 likes. I'd really appreciate that. And of course, do subscribe down below if you're new. We're on the road to 100k. I really want to hit it by the end of the year. It would be absolutely brilliant. Ahmad, we paid 19 million for. Interestingly, Manchester United rejected a 30 million bid for Amad Diallo 2 weeks ago. Manchester United, and this has been said, Eric Ten Hag has big plans for Amad Diallo. We looked at Eric Ten Hag's comments on Amad Diallo and how it's Amad's, not young anymore. He's physically better. Ten Hag is saying, Amad's no longer young. He's physically better. He's physically more ready. This is Amad's season, is what Ten Hag is saying. Now, remember this. Man United made it clear a month ago that Amad Diallo was going to stay. Man United rejected a 30 million bid for Amad Diallo, and we don't get 30 million bids for any of our players. For us to actually get that could have been money invested elsewhere. It is very clear that Manchester United, Ineos and Ten Hag have a big plan for Amad Diallo next season, rejecting 30 million bids. They want him to sign a new contract. They want him to get over the line. Man United have big plans in regards to Amad Diallo. They have big plans for him. They have big plans for his future. I think Amad Diallo is going to get very, very exciting, if I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think that it could be the season for him. I think it's going to be a massive season for him as well. Pellistri's a good player. Pellistri's a good player, but at the end of the day, if you're going to have to keep one of Amad and Pellistri, you're going to keep Amad. Amad's the better player than Pellistri. He's got the better ceiling. And I think at the end of the day, Pellistri's not going to get the minutes. So you might as well sell him, cash in on him and let him go elsewhere because Amad is a better player. I like Pellistri. I think he's better than Anthony. But ultimately, I don't think Pellistri's good enough to be starting for Manchester United over Garnacho and Amad, which means he's not going to be getting the minutes, which means we're just wasting him. And we could just sell him for 15 million off the back of a good Copa America as well. Someone said we should sell Maguire. Manchester United are looking to sell Maguire. That's been confirmed by multiple reliable outlets that United are looking to sell Maguire and Lindelof. Man United would like to sell them both, although a move for Lindelof is seen as more likely due to just the fees of Maguire and his wages. Give me 1 sec because I'm going to get this new story up that you're going to find really interesting. Let me just take a quick swig of water. I'm so thirsty, so I do apologise. But yeah, it was said, and I want to read this out actually. I think this is interesting. It was said Toby Collyer and Amad Diallo are two youngsters that Ten Hag rates incredibly highly and is potentially willing to give lots of minutes to next season. If Amad Diallo and Toby Collyer continue impressing in pre-season, the likelihood of them starting for Manchester United is massively increasing. Like Kobbie Mainoo, when Ten Hag sees it in a young player and is constantly impressed by consistency, Ten Hag will play him. There's a feeling right now that Toby Collyer could even cement a place playing next to Kobbie Mainoo over the likes of Casemiro if he stays. Potentially for Ugarte signs, it's a different sort of situation. But that is really interesting that Toby Collyer could almost cement a place over the likes of Casemiro. Like, Toby Collyer could start over Casemiro, because if you look at pre-season, now it's only pre-season, but you know, Casemiro has not been quite right in pre-season. He's running like there's bricks in his pockets. Whereas if you look at someone like Toby Collyer, I think why he stands out is his athleticism. What Man United missed in midfield, and what Manchester United's biggest problem was the whole of last season, was the lack of athleticism in midfield. Kobbie was great technically, Bruno was a great creator, but we didn't have players that were able to cover the ground. We didn't have players that were athletically good, that were athletically comfortable. So now you've got someone like Toby Collyer that's eating up ground with ease, is so athletically good, can get back, stop transitions, but also has elements of Declan Rice. When he gets the ball, he can play those passes and dictate play. Potentially, you know, he could take Casemiro's place. I mean, it's a big jump after 2 pre-season games, but I did say after watching Kobbie Mainoo play 2 pre-season games, and it's really funny if you go back to that live stream. It was the second pre-season game. I said, guys, maybe I'm deluded, but Kobbie Mainoo needs to start next to Bellingham and Rice for England. I said, I know he's only played 2 pre-season games, but I'm convinced Toby Mainoo was the guy to start next to Bellingham and Rice in pre-season. And, you know, that sounded really deluded at the time. And I thought, you know, people are going to think I'm crazy. But I watched Kobbie Mainoo play 2 games. I thought he's got to start next to Bellingham and Rice for England. And he did in the final. I mean, like, that doesn't happen rarely. But, like, you see it. And I think with Toby Collyer, you know, I haven't seen it. He's not impressed me to the level Mainoo has. But I see with Toby Collier's athletic traits, this guy could play with Mainoo. This guy, you know, has got a little bit of Yusuf Fofana in him in terms of that physicality, elements of Declan Rice in him. This guy could play with Kobbie Mainoo. And this guy could be a good partner for Kobbie Mainoo. He's decent on the ball. He moves the ball quickly, but he's not someone that's going to break lines and dictate play. But he's comfortable with the ball. He wants to receive the ball. He wants to pass the ball. He wants to move the ball. But off the ball, his athleticism, his ability to drop deep, get it off the centre-backs, play all around the park. He can play as a 6, he could play as an 8. He looks like a bit of a Declan Rice regen we've got, and potentially could be that long-term partner for Collyer as well. Collyer is as technical but stronger than Carrick. Collyer could be the long-term Michael Carrick at Manchester United. So there's 3 academy players that are rated highly, and that is Shea Lacey, Toby Collyer, and Harry Amas. Now, with Toby Collyer, it is sin that because he is 20, he's more physically ready. The fact that Ten Hag gave Toby Collyer a new deal and wanted pictures there to announce him getting a new deal was impressive. The fact that Ten Hag gave Toby Collyer the captain's armband when he was playing for the second team in the second half versus Rosenberg showed he rated him. But Toby Collyer was so good in the second half versus Rosenberg that he took out Mejbri from the first team and he put Toby Collyer in the first team for the actual games. He put Toby Collyer next to Casemiro. And now it's been said, when we've got more players back, he may play Collyer, Mainoo and Bruno midfield 3 in pre-season and even drop Casemiro, because Casemiro could be Saudi bound and Toby Collyer could be part of United's future as well. Thank you very much for the super chat as well. I heard Xerxes more of a false 9. Does that make him rotational partner for Bruno? Xerxes will be rotating with Rasmus Højlund, I think 99% of the time. But you know, when Bruno played false 9, when McTominay was in midfield, you know, in the FA Cup final, potentially when Xerxes plays, he could pick up that kind of position. I think there'll be times where Xerxes and Højlund could play together as dual strikers, or Xerxes playing deeper behind Højlund if Bruno's injured. I think Xerxes can play with Højlund. I think he could drop deeper and play behind Højlund, but I think ultimately he will play in Højlund's role as well. Yes, Collyer also seems a good character, like Kobbie and Amad as well. Yeah, he seems a good character. He seems well-rounded as well. He's obviously been England captain in the youth ranks, Toby Collyer. Guys, please do hit that like button, and of course subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new and want to stay up to date on all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more. Lots and lots to discuss in today's show. Lots of news coming in, lots of interesting stories coming in if you're not familiar with them as well. Bruno and Mount could be good rotation options, absolutely. Collyer and Mainoo partner each other well, absolutely. What do I think of Maxi Odeleye? I think there's a very good player there. I think he had the wrong kind of loan, and you know, the assist there, let's see him get more pre-season chances. I think there's definitely a good player there. Let me just take a sip of water and I'm going to get into some other stories, some other news, some other bits and bobs for you guys. Because there is quite a lot going about at the moment, isn't there? There's quite a lot of news going about and a lot of stories at the moment, if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. So, if you guys aren't familiar, PSG have now made a proposal for Jadon Sancho, and Jadon Sancho is interested in joining PSG. And reports in the last few weeks have said, despite Sancho and Ten Hag making up, and Manchester United acting as if Jadon Sancho is going to stay at the club, it's very likely that Sancho will leave. There's an expectation that Sancho will leave Manchester United, despite reports saying everything's good, he's happy to stay, Ten Hag's happy to keep him. It's an expectation that Sancho wants to leave. He's got interest in PSG. He's got interest in Juventus. He's open to joining both PSG and Juventus. And Man United are more than open to selling Sancho because at the end of the day, Ahmad they like, Garnacho they like, Rashford they like. Sancho's that fourth choice. Antony is that fifth choice. Will they be able to sell Sancho and Antony because of high wages and the high fees we pay for them? It is more difficult. But we know deep down, even though Antony's agent's denying it, United are very open to selling Sancho and Antony. Now, Antony's agent is saying he's going to stay at United and fight for his place, and well, good luck with that. You're an £85 million winger that is fifth choice behind Rashford, Sancho, Ahmad and Garnacho. It's going to be difficult for you, but, that's up to you. I think Sancho, could stay and fight for his place, but that's why he fell out with Ten Hag, because he wasn't playing. Now, to be fair to Sancho, he wasn't playing over Antony, he was crap. If he's not playing over Ahmad, who's brilliant, it's a different bit of the story. But I just think that Sancho staying, not getting the minutes, it's going to go wrong. I think that United will offload Sancho. I think that deal will definitely get done as well. 100%. Alice, who do you think will be the next sale? It's difficult because West Ham looked really advanced for Wan-Bissaka, and now it's been said that West Ham are going for Kyle Walker-Peters, so they're not looking to buy Wan-Bissaka. Man United are working around the clock to try and get a sale for Lindelof. Man United are working really hard to try and sell Victor Lindelof. But again, nothing's advanced with Victor Lindelof leaving United. Maguire we want to sell, but we think that will be difficult. In regards to sales, McTominay maybe. I know there's genuine interest in McTominay from 3-4 clubs. I think a 30 million deal for McTominay could happen. I think if Saudi want Casemiro, it will happen, but we don't know what Saudi is saying with Casemiro. I think Pulisic sale could happen, but I don't think he's going to go to that Greek club that he's been linked to, if I was going to be totally honest with you guys. But I still think a Pulisic sale could happen. I don't think Bruno's going to go. I don't think Rashford's going to go. I mean, I can tell you who I think is going to go. I did this before and you guys liked this. Let me show you the Man United squad and who's going to go. Because I remember doing this before and you guys really like this. I'll break this down for you. Who's going to go? I'm going to give them a score out of 10 of who's most likely to go. And of course, Man United, as soon as you join, is promoting the kit. But if we look at this here, Bayendier could go. We are looking to sign a third keeper, by the way. Lindelof is going to go. We're working really hard to get Lindelof out, but there's nothing advanced yet. Maguire could go, but again, it's do we want Maguire to go? Yes, but will he go? Probably not. Martinez will stay. Milassi will stay. Euros obviously, and Delo will stay. Luke Shaw will stay. Wan-Bissaka. West Ham, there was talks there, positive talks. He was open to the move. West Ham are now putting in bids for Kyle Walker-Peters. So Wan-Bissaka to West Ham slowed down. Maybe Crystal Palace showed interest in him. If we keep him, it's not the end of the world. Jordi Evans is staying. Amrabat is set to not return to United unless we can get him on a cut price, but also we're looking at Amrabat alternatives now. Mason Mount will stay. We did get 3 offers reportedly for Mason Mount, but the club are not interested in selling the player. The player is not interested in leaving. Bruno Fernandes obviously set to stay, even though PSG are interested. Eriksen's expected to go. Apparently, Eriksen's agent is exploring a move away from Old Trafford, but nothing will advance until Eriksen is back from his obviously break as well. Casemiro is in talks with Saudi. Casemiro's agent have conversations. United are really willing to offload Casemiro. Saudi a bit skeptical. Saudi, it's kind of called, but we'll have to see. Pulisic is expected to leave Manchester United on loan or permanent. United looking for a permanent deal. We'll have to wait and see on offers. Maino will stay. McTominay has a lot of offers and probably could be the next exit, with 3 clubs genuinely interested. Dan Gore obviously injured. Hannibal Mejbri is expected to leave United. No offers yet, but United are willing to cash in on him for around £10 million. Rashford has interest from clubs, but he's expected to stay at United. Højlund's expected to stay. Ahmad, we've rejected £30 and £40 million bids from other teams from Ahmad. He's expected to stay and have a big role. Garnacho's expected to stay and be safe. Antony is saying he's staying and he wants to stay and all of that, but Manchester United could be open to letting Antony go out on loan if we sign in another winger and offload and open to offers for Antony, but very unlikely to happen. Jadon Sancho looks like he's going to leave Manchester United. United are playing the card of, Jadon Sancho might stay this, Jadon Sancho might stay that. Jadon Sancho looks like he's going to leave Manchester United. in all honesty, I expect that he will leave Manchester United, despite Man United playing the card of, oh, we don't know if Sancho's going to stay or not, this and that. Sancho will go. Sancho will go to Juventus or PSG, and we'll get 35 million for him, and we'll invest that in another attacker. Whether that's Xavi Simmons, whether that's Desiree Doué, whether that's Pedro Neto, I cannot tell you that. But Jadon Sancho will leave Manchester United. We will get around 35 million for him. I'm confident of it. I don't think he's going to stay. I think it's all a game. It's all a game from United. Let's act like we're fine with Sancho staying. Let's act like there's a strong possibility Sancho can stay so we can actually get the money we want for Sancho. I think that is the game that Manchester United are playing. We won't sell Rashford. And I got a stick for this, but someone said we wouldn't sign Xerxes just for Rashford. What I meant is, there's no point signing Xerxes if you plan to sell Rashford. And someone had a go at me saying, you're chatting rubbish, because I said we wouldn't sell Rashford because you brought Xerxes in. Why? And saying, why would we bring in a player because he suits Rashford? That's how you build a team. You won't bring in players because they're the best individuals. You bring in players that suit the stylistic play of your team and will get the best out of the players around them. And that is why we brought in Xerxes. We brought in Xerxes because he complements Rashford and Garnacho, our wingers, because our wingers don't create. Our wingers don't create for Højlund. They're goal scorers. They're runners. Now, Xerxes is someone that doesn't need creativity. He creates for his wingers like Firmino did for Mane and Salah. So I don't know why someone was giving me sticks saying it makes no sense to sell Rashford because we brought Xerxes. Xerxes complements Rashford and Garnacho. We sell Rashford and we get Xavi Simmons and we play Xavi Simmons on the wing. With Xerxes, it doesn't work as well. Xavi, because he's not someone that's going to run on ahead. For me, Ahmad and Sancho work really well with Højlund in the middle. Ahmad can also work with Xerxes because he's got that pace. But you play Garnacho and Rashford with Xerxes, bash. You play Ahmad and Sancho with Højlund, bash. We've got a striker that needs creative wingers. We've got that in Ahmad and Sancho. We've also got a striker that needs runners and goal scorer like wingers. You've got that in Garnacho and Rashford, ball carriers. Sancho and Ahmad are pass first wingers. That works with Højlund. Garnacho and Rashford are carrier wingers. That works with Xerxes. So we brought Xerxes in because he complements Rashford and we're building a front line that works and really works together. That's why we brought Xerxes in. So I don't know why someone was having a go at me saying it makes no sense to sell Rashford because you brought Xerxes in. We're building a team. And we brought Xerxes in because it will improve Rashford. And that's what teams do. And that's what proper teams do in the transfer market as well. Should we get into the next story? Someone said slow down, take a breath. I do need to do that. I think that's the one thing, is I definitely talk fast. How many likes are we on, guys? The goal is 500 likes by the end of the live stream, so please do go ahead and hit that like button if you have not already as well. I'm almost 100% certain Sancho leaves. Yeah, I would say I'm 95% certain Sancho leaves Manchester United, to be honest. I would say 95% certain. Guys, we're on 434 likes. The target is 500 likes. Can we do it? I think we can do it. We're going to end the live stream in a minute, but I think we can do it. I think we can hit 500 likes. So let's get into the stories. Let's get into the news. Let's get into all the information that is going about in regards to United. So PSG made a proposal for Sancho. Sancho is interested in PSG, and Manchester United are sellers at what price? So if we can get a 35 to 40 million deal from PSG for Sancho, we will sell him. Sancho will go to PSG. Same with Juventus. Sancho has two options. He stays and he plays, or he leaves. I don't think he's going to play over Ahmad, Garnacho and Rashford. In summary, Sancho leaves Manchester United. The price tag for Sancho is 45 to 50 million euros, which is 35 to 40 million pounds. Juventus is still pushing to sign Manchester United with Jadon Sancho, but they will likely need to sell to have a chance of meeting the 40 million valuation. So as much as Juventus want to sell, as much as Juventus want Jadon Sancho, they have to get Chiesa out. So we could get a PSG Juventus race for Jadon Sancho in a deal at 35 million pounds. I'm very confident that Sancho will leave Manchester United and Sancho will be sold. It was also said that Manchester United have been working on a deal to bring Xavi Simmons to Old Trafford for a year now, and that United are pursuing a move for PSG Xavi Simmons and could hijack his potential move for Germany. I think if Sancho is sold, United will press ahead with Xavi Simmons. What the plan is and what the situation really is at Manchester United right now is we're working on selling Jadon Sancho despite saying he's going to stay. Sancho is open to PSG, he's open to Juventus, there's verbal offers there, there's conversations with the players there, a bid is expected, but Man United have made it clear you've got to match our 35 to 40 million valuation or we're not giving you Sancho, because he can play for us next season, he can offer us something, we're not ready to sell him, and he can play for us next season, he can offer us something, he is a good player, he just hasn't been a good player in United yet. But if Sancho is sold, we know that we are working on a deal for Xavi Simmons. We know that Man United and PSG have had talks over Sancho, Xavi Simmons, and Agate literally today, yesterday, the day before. There's definite advancements on that. So it's one of those sort of situations. We also know that Manchester United apparently are preparing a 17 million offer for Palmeiras midfielder Richard Rios. Now, I don't know if this is a trick to, again, say, oh, this is an Agate alternative, lower the Agate fee because PSG are just putting a ridiculous fee on Agate, and is this our trick to get Agate for the fee you want Agate for? So definitely one to watch in that sense. But it has said that Man United have made contact and they will signal to signal they will make a bid. Apparently, Man United are saying we're going to make a bid for him. Richard Rios has been a beast in Copa America, physical player, monster ground eater, beast, ball striking power, unbelievable Copa America, really highly rated player at Palmeiras, could be available on the cheap because he's at Palmeiras, and apparently United are saying we're going to make a bid for him. In regards to Subamende, it's basically just been said that Manchester United's interest in Subamende has been confirmed. Do I think we sign Subamende? I don't know. I couldn't tell if I think we're going to sign Subamende or not. I think it's one of those where I think if we don't get Agate, we push for Subamende. I think we're linking ourselves to Subamende because Agate is slowing down. I think we're interested in Subamende. I think if McTominay and Casemiro go, we'll probably go for Subamende and Agate because there's two players that complement each other well. I think he's got it's available for a decent price. It's one to watch, but I think Agate would be the midfield option to happen. But I think Richard Rios could be the second midfield signing, as we're not going for Amrabat. He could be there for depth. He can be there for Agate backup, or we could say let's make a bid for him so PSG know we've got Agate alternatives, because if you're looking at Agate alternatives and how Rios plays and what Rios is going to add here, you can see there he can play as defensive midfielder, he can play as a central midfielder. You can see here like his passing range is everything. If you look at Rios here, he's a very similar player to Agate if you look at his map and his statistics as being an off-the-ball player. I mean, Subamende and Rios could be smart. I mean, if Agate is too expensive, we could say actually let's get Rios, who's £30 million cheaper than you want for Subamende, and that 30 million we save by not getting Agate, we could put in Subamende. I think that could be smart. And I'm not going to act like I know a lot about Rios. I've watched him play about 3 games. In the 3 games I've watched him play, I have been incredibly impressed. To be fair, I've been incredibly impressed with the 3 games that I've watched him play. So, if I want to press ahead with that, it could work. Alex says he still prefers Palacios. I do think that Palacios would be a fantastic signing, but we don't seem to be going for him, and I think also he may lack the physicality as well. Agate and Rios with Collyer being our Subamende type player. Collyer isn't a Subamende type player in my opinion. He's more Declan Rice-esque. He's more elements of Adam Morton potentially. But I think if United could, in an ideal world, we'd get Agate and Subamende. In an ideal world, we get Agate and Subamende. I think we get one or the other. We're also looking at Naipan. Naipan is the guy that played for Rosenborg against us the other day. Was unbelievable. 17-year-old kid. United are looking at him. He's been discussed. Potentially, we make a move in the January window. Very, very good young player, one of the highest rated prospects. We can't do anything till January unless we buy him now and loan him back. But Academy Scoop's very reliable with its Academy information, so this is definitely one to watch. Obviously, there's talks going on about selling Pellistri, but who knows if he wants to go to the Greek league. Apparently, they put in a 9 million bid for Pellistri, and considering we paid 8 million for him, that's a joke. Varane to Como is a here we go. Varane has left Manchester United. Everton are preparing to give Jared Branthwaite a new contract, by the way, guys. Branthwaite is set to sign a new deal at Everton. They're determined to keep him unless a huge bid arrives. United have no intent in paying the 75 to 80 million needed to bring in Branthwaite. It was also said that clubs around the Premier League in Europe did register an interest in Greenwood, but he made it clear he wants to play in Marseille. Apparently Chelsea were interested in signing Greenwood, but I don't know how true that was because Chelsea tried to deny that, but it was said by somewhat decent source. But interestingly, Manchester United have also included a buyback clause in Mason Greenwood's transfer, although the likelihood of being activated is low. So United have brought in a buyback clause in case they do want to bring Greenwood back to Manchester United, but I really seriously cannot see that happening. I cannot see us bringing Greenwood back to Manchester United, even though we put a buyback clause in that as well. So that is a roundup of your latest Manchester United news, people. Is Xavi Simmons still on? Yes, it's still on. I think Leipzig and Bayern are still the favourites to get him. Branthwaite should have a relegation clause if he signs a new contract. I agree, but I don't think Everton are going to get relegated. I think Sean Dyche and what Everton have is good enough to stay up. Well, actually, I think Everton had quite an awful squad, and Sean Dyche did a good job last season as well. Wharton isn't leaving. Obviously, Manchester United explored a deal for Adam Wharton, but Crystal Palace, because they've only just signed him, put like a ridiculous price tag on Adam Wharton, and it's basically been confirmed that Adam Wharton is not leaving Crystal Palace. We won't get him. We explored Adam Wharton. We've explored Edson Alvarez, but they're not leaving the club. Interestingly, apparently United held talks recently with Mohamed Kudus. Now, this was some information that I got exclusively that hasn't been reported by anyone. So this is just like exclusive to me. But I did get information from somebody that I trust to say that Man United held talks about exploring a deal for Kudus. I think he's got a release clause, but I don't think that's active till next year, and that it might be 60 million. But Man United did have conversations internally about Kudus, obviously liked by Ten Hag. So, and I got that from an exclusive bit of information. So again, I don't think anything will advance with that, but that is one to keep an eye on potentially as a wing option there if Sancho goes. Maybe United do look out there and explore a deal potentially for Mohamed Kudus as well. Would I sell him at 20 for 30 million? Yes, he's got 1 year left on his deal. Big up everybody in the chat. Big up everybody for watching. But yeah, guys, we're on 520 likes. Let's go for 600 likes. If you've not hit that like button, please do go ahead and hit that like button. And of course, subscribe down below if you're new. I will be back with content later this afternoon. I do 2 live streams a day and the short 10-minute video. So if you can't tune into my live streams and you can't watch a 50-minute live show, that's fine. At the end of the day, I always do a 10-minute video rounding up all the relevant news as well. So thank you for watching. Hit the like button. Subscribe down below if you're new. Bye.